Welcome back to yet another Brawl Stars video. My name is the Gominator, and today we're doing something pretty cool and original that I don't think any other YouTubers have done. Today we're going to be ranking the voice of every single brawler in Brawl Stars, and I'm not counting skins like, for example, Mecha Crow or Mecha Bo, who changed the voice of the brawler. We'll just be counting the original voices. So of course this is only based on my opinion. If you don't agree, just comment down below what you would have changed from the list. But anyway, let's get right into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe even turn on that notification bell if you want. And also, I forgot to mention that we're going to be splitting the brawlers into tiers. So D tier, C tier, B tier, A tier, and finally the Diamond S tier. So each tier has 6 brawlers, except the D tier, which only has 3. Anyway, let's start off with the D tier. The worst voices in the game are going to be, well, it's a 3-way tie between Spike, Daryl, and Leon, which for now are the only 3 brawlers in the game who don't have a voice at all. Except Spike, he used to have a voice, right?
Yes, Spike is my name. If I'm on the attack.
Now we are at the C tier, which means these brawlers have voices, but not exactly great ones. First off, we have Frank at 24th place. Now, I don't have any grudge against Frank, but his voice is pretty much just grunts, and it would feel really unfair to rank him higher compared to the other brawlers who have real voices. And, I mean, Frank's grunts are pretty meaningless, and we've seen before, like, for example, in the old LEGO games, that grunts can mean a lot of things, but in this case, Frank's grunts are just grunts.
Yeah!
Over here, we've got Penny, who suffers the same problem as Frank. Her voice is just really simple, and most of her voice lines are just like yeah or ah or just random screams that don't really build on her personality or anything like that, and it's nothing amazing. It's not bad either, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it deserves a high spot on this list. In the 22nd spot is Poco, and Poco's voice is not that bad, it's just really disappointing because there are so many awesome voices that could have been given to Poco, but his voice ended up just being a really basic voice, and there's not even a single line in Spanish, and there's no line either that recalls to the fact that he's a skeleton, so his voice is more the voice of just a little kid than an actual skeleton mariachi. What I'm trying to say is that his voice doesn't live up to what he actually is.
You got
Over here we've got Pam, who really has an underwhelming voice. I mean, her voice is okay, and all of her lines are okay, but that's pretty much where it stops. She's just okay, she has nothing special, and that's why I don't think she deserves to be higher than a lot of the other brawlers. At number 20 is Rosa, who I think has a pretty decent voice.
Rosa is my name, botany's my game.
She's got a fun accent and some really good voice lines, like pedals to the metals and other voice lines like, okay, I gotta stop making impressions, I'm really bad at this. Anyway, she has a cool voice, but I think that some other brawlers have cooler voices. Over here we've got Tara, who got her voice really recently, and it's not really a voice, it's mostly like mysterious sound effects, but it sounds really cool and it really fits with her character, so even though it's a really simple voice, I think it deserves this spot. Anyway, we are headed towards the B tier, and these are voices that are actually pretty good. Because, to be honest, there are very few bad voices in Brawl Stars, and most of them have very good voice acting and some really cool voice lines. And yeah, anyway, here's Jessie at number 18. Not much to say about her. She's got some good lines.
Sorry!
And she has the voice of a little girl, which is pretty fitting because she is a little girl. Unlike Poco, who has the voice of a little boy, even though he's a skeleton mariachi. But anyway, to the next spot.
Yes!
It's gonna have to be Bibi, and I really like Bibi's voice, especially the lines where she speaks to her bat, which are quite interesting. In fact, I actually wanted to make a Brawl Stars rap about her, like a Bibi rap, but she's the brawler that I don't have unlocked. She's the only brawler that I don't have unlocked, actually. And yeah, I can't really do a brawler rap in the training cave, so no Bibi rap for now.
Give me some sugar.
So at number 16 is Piper, and I really like Piper's voice, what they did to her. She has kind of a fun accent, and some very fun lines like, give me some sugar, and other... I said I would stop doing impressions. Anyway, she's got some fun lines and a fun accent, so that's why I think she deserves to be a B tier. Alright, so on number 15, it's gonna have to be Gene. This might be a controversial one, but I chose Gene to be this high, even though he has a simple voice, because I find him funny. That's it. I just think his voice lines are really funny. You don't really understand what he's saying, but it seems like he's talking in a weird language. Anyway, it's a really fun voice, and to the next brawler. Anyway, at number 14 is none other than Shotgun Shelly. And she doesn't have that much of an amazing voice, but the reason I put her this high is because she has some really iconic voice lines by now. Because she's the first brawler you get, and some of her screams are just so familiar by now. But anyway, I feel bad giving her a low rating, even though she kind of deserves it.
Time to move to the boombox groove.
Anyway, for the last B tier brawler, it's gonna have to be Brock. And Brock has a really cool voice. It matches his personality perfectly, and yeah, it's a really good voice. Alright, we have arrived at the A tier, and these are some really good voices.
My calculations are always correct.
Alright, so Carl at number 12. At first, I really found Carl's voice annoying, and I really wanted it to be changed, but after getting familiar with it and just getting to know it, mostly by doing Carl rap, I kind of really like it. It adds just so many layers to his personality, and I really like that it doesn't sound like a robot like Barley or Rico. Because we already have 5 robot brawlers in the game, and 3 of them have robot voices if you're counting Tick's voice as a robot voice, of course. And there are 4 robot skins that also change the voice to be robotic, so just so many robot voices, and I'm really glad Carl doesn't have one. Although he has a few voice lines that recall to the fact that he's a robot, but that's perfectly fine with me.
This is too easy!
So at number 11 is Colt, and Colt is kind of like the main character of Brawl Stars, so he had to have a really cool voice. And he does, he has some really fun voice lines and a cool voice, but the problem is it kind of sounds like Brock's voice. This is just my opinion, but I think that Brock and Colt have 2 very similar personalities, and maybe even too similar. So that's why I actually put them only 2 spots difference, Colt being a little bit higher, because he was the first one to get his voice, obviously. But they're both just 2 dudes who think really highly of themselves, and have a actually very similar sounding voice. So I don't like that they're that similar, but they still both got pretty good ratings, and Colt got an A tier, so not bad. Not bad at all.
Bottoms up.
Alright, so over here at our number 10 spot, I believe, is Barley, and Barley, without his voice, had literally no personality. No one knew what he was, no one really cared about him too much. He was just a random brawler who happened to look a lot like Ricochet, because back then they were the 2 only robots in the game, and to be honest, of all the robots, they're the 2 that look the most similar. But when Barley got his voice, he finally got a little bit more different than Rico, and people know them as 2 different brawlers, and not just the 2 robots. Over here is Nita, and Nita is great. She just screams all the time, and it actually works, unlike Penny. She actually does some really cool screams, like she screams her name, or she screams bear. I'm not doing any impressions this time. The only thing I wish she had was some voice lines in some kind of native language. Same thing goes for Bo, but that's just me getting a little bit picky. Her voice is great. Over here is Tick at number 8, which might be a controversial placement, but I think his voice is really cool. By the first time I heard his voice, I was like, whoa, this is awesome. It's so simple, and this is another brawler that I would like to make a rap about, like Tick rap. So finishing off the A tier, at the number 7 spot is Bull, and I don't think I need to explain this one too much. Bull's voice is just
Awesome.
Alright, so we have finally arrived at the Diamond S tier, and let's see if you guys can guess in the comments what the top 3 brawlers will be, and maybe you can even guess the right order, and that would be really amazing. Anyway, let's get right into it with our number 6 spot.
May you find peace.
Alright, so Bo's voice is just so badass. His voice is so deep, and his voice lines are very deep as well, and it just makes for kind of a funny voice, but at the same time, it's super awesome. And yeah, I just really like his voice.
Ready for battle.
Alright, so at number 5 is Ricochet, also known as Rico. But anyway, his voice is really awesome, and unlike Barley and Carl, who have a few voices who recall to the fact that he's a robot, pretty much all his voices have to do with him being a robot. So anyway, Rico is just so proud of being a robot, and he was the first robot to get voice in the game, so I really think he deserves the S tier and the number 5 spot. Alright, so before getting his voice, Crow was just a really cool and mysterious character. No one really knew what he sounded like, and I thought they were just gonna leave him like that. They weren't gonna give him a voice. But when his voice got released, it's just like a squeaky, well, pretty much what you would expect from a crow, but his voice lines are just so ridiculous. Like when he tells us to sleep with the fishes, or when he says that he smells a rat. Like, what the heck? What? I don't know. It just kind of maybe ruined the character for some people, but I really don't mind. It really changed the character from being like a really mysterious guy to just being one of the wackiest characters in the game.
You lose!
Alright, so at number 3 we have El Primo, and just how could I not give him the S tier? Because I mean, just this guy's voice lines are amazing. He has a few in Spanish. Actually, most of them are in Spanish. And even when he speaks English, he has a really heavy Spanish accent. He's a wrestler, and he does some wrestler-related lines, like "The show must go on," and he gives also some inspirational
No pain, no
lines,
gain.
like, but obviously in Spanish, which is "Sin dolor no hay gloria." And yeah, this guy, this guy's just awesome, and I think the reason that so many people like him is because of his voice. Alright, so at number 2 is Dynamite, the wacky old guy who throws TNT all around the field. He has really fun voice, some really fun voice lines, like, "Who wants some TNT?" And I'm doing impressions again. But anyway, this guy has some crazy voice lines, some really cool ones too. Like, he also has some really random ones, like, "Don't touch my canary." But he's actually making reference to the little bird in his hat, who is actually controlling him when he's in the robot form. With his robot skin, but that's not important. I'm kind of getting off track. Dynamite is really cool, and I think his new character model fits so well with his voice, because his old character model was kind of random and it felt kind of off with his voice, but with the new one, how he looks now, it's just perfect for his voice, and yeah, Dynamite's voice is just epic.
Have much fear, Mortis is here!
And if you've been paying attention, you would know that the number 1 spot is Mortis, and if it's not even a competition, bro. His voice is just it's perfect. It's perfect. And I don't even need to justify it. Just go watch Mortis rap right now. You'll understand everything that I mean. And I don't even need to convince you guys. Everyone already loves Mortis's voice. If you think that someone else should have gotten the number 1 spot, well, you're wrong. It's not even my opinion. You're just wrong.
Let's do this!
Alright, Mortis is the boss. Mortis deserves number 1. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. This is one of the longer ones. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy it, because these type of videos really take a long time to make. Anyway, you might want to check out Brawler raps, because they're really cool. They're like remixes of the Brawler's voices. Anyway, have a nice day. Peace.